$1 million to eliminate a severe plague of locusts in Madagascar. Around half of Madagascar is currently infested, with each swarm made up of
Do you really feel at peace when you look at what's happening right now? Locusts covering the sky, fire rising up out of the sea, rivers turning bright red, land rising from the water, forests shaking, deserts shooting out flames and then bursting with water, strange lights hanging in the air, 10 signs coming, one after another, like a warning that something terrible is coming soon. Do you think this is just a coincidence? The full answer will be revealed ahead. And before we dive deeper into the truth, please leave a prayer in the comments section. Just a way to hold on to your faith, okay? You won't have to wait long now. We'll get started right away with 1. Giant locust swarms swallow Ukraine's sky. The sky over southern Ukraine suddenly disappeared for a few minutes. Daylight got torn apart, not by storm clouds or gunfire smoke, but by millions of insect wings rushing in all at once, so thick they blocked out everything overhead. In that moment, we weren't just watching a farm problem anymore. We were seeing a real warning come to life. In places like Zaporizhzhia, Kherson, and Odessa, where the long conflict has shut down all pest control, the land has been left empty for thousands of acres. The whole ecosystem is badly broken. In that empty space, the migratory locust, Locusta migratoria, has multiplied with no limits, no barriers, no one to stop it. When nature loses its balance, the consequences never take long to show up. People right there describe the swarm as a living black cloud stretching for miles, moving so fast no one could react in time. In just minutes, sunflower fields were eaten down to nothing, trees left bare, the ground covered in insect bodies, and the sound of their wings clashing like engines. What we're seeing isn't small scattered patches. It's a huge, uncontrolled wave. Revelation 9:3 recorded something like this long ago. And out of the smoke, locusts came down on the earth and were given power like that of scorpions of the earth. The Bible doesn't describe them as ordinary bugs, but as tools in a time of judgment. When that ancient picture shows up in real life again, the uneasy feeling isn't just imagination. Climate and farm experts quickly gave their explanations. Warmer winters from climate change, no pesticide use because of the fighting, abandoned land making perfect breeding spots. All that's true, but it still doesn't feel like the whole story. Because this isn't just happening, it's happening in the exact right place, at the exact right time, and on a scale that leaves people helpless. Revelation 9:7-10 goes on. The locusts looked like horses prepared for battle, and the sound of their wings was like the roar of chariots. When farmers stand and watch their fields get wiped out in silence, those Bible words don't feel like far-off symbols anymore. They're hitting real life. Joel 2:25 once talked about locusts as a disaster sent, but also as a marker to wake people up. I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten. But that promise only comes after turning back to God. Before any restoration, there's always a serious warning time. This isn't simply a bug story. It's a reminder that when war, sin, and destruction go on too long, nature starts speaking for the things people stop listening to. The locust swarms have arrived. And if we keep treating it like just another normal thing, a scarier question waits ahead. What comes next after the sky has been completely covered? 2. A terrifying fire eye in the Gulf of Mexico. Out in the middle of the huge ocean, a ring of fire suddenly appeared. No loud boom to warn anyone, no storm alert, just swirling flames shooting up from the water, burning hard like the sea was ripping itself open. Nobody could figure out what was going on, and that mystery made it scarier than any fire most folks have ever seen. It happened in the Gulf of Mexico, west of the Yucatan Peninsula. a place usually pretty calm and well known for oil and gas work. But this time the fire didn't start on a drilling rig or a boat. It came straight up from deep down in the ocean, spinning like an eye-opening right in the middle of the water. Videos that spread fast online showed flames reaching dozens of feet high, thick black smoke rolling up, and the water boiling hard for hours on end. All around was nothing but empty sea, which made the fire look even stranger and more out of place. In the wide open ocean, with nothing obvious to burn, the fire just kept going, like something hidden below was keeping it alive. We've known for a long time one scary fact. The ocean is the part of the world we understand the least. More than 80% of the seafloor has never been properly explored, and what's down there under all that deep water is still a big mystery. When fire rises up from a spot no one can see, the real fear isn't the flames. It's realizing there are things we can't control at all. In that moment, staring at the fire eye, it wasn't just some equipment problem. It felt like facing an old, deep fear that the sea isn't as peaceful as it seems. It's just waiting for the right time to push back. Online, folks quickly split into different views. Some said it was probably just a gas leak from an underwater pipeline that hit a spark and caught fire. Others worried it was a big environmental mess and asked why the details came out so vague and slow. A few even felt the picture meant something bigger, more than just another industrial accident. Revelation 8:8-9 describes a scene that still makes people shiver. The second angel sounded his trumpet, and something like a huge mountain all ablaze was thrown into the sea. A third of the sea turned into blood, and a third of the living creatures in the sea died. Here the Bible doesn't feel like just a story. It reads like a warning about what happens when we keep hurting the ocean. Revelation 9:18 adds more. A third of mankind was killed by these three plagues: the fire, the smoke, and the sulfur. The fire here isn't only a real thing. It's a sign of judgment for all the non-stop taking from the earth. The fire eye finally died down, and the sea went flat and calm again, like nothing ever happened. But the feeling that something's watching us lingers. If the ocean has started answering back, the scariest question isn't what that fire was. It's, where will it open up next? 3. The forest comes alive and moves in a terrifying way in Utah. The forest suddenly starts moving in broad daylight. The ground rises and falls like it's breathing, or like something just woke up. That short video captures the moment and leaves people stunned. No earthquake warning, no storm coming, but the whole forest in Utah begins to shake like a giant creature waking up. When the ground won't stay still, you can't help but wonder, is this really just nature? It happened in a thick forest, where the soil was soaked after days of rain, and the tree roots were shallow, right near the surface. A man walking his dog felt the ground under his feet start lifting and dropping, while trees all around swayed together at the same time. No explosion, no sign of collapse, just the feeling that the entire forest was breathing. The footage shows the ground bulging up clearly, roots popping out and then getting pulled back down, big tree trunks rocking back and forth like something invisible was pushing from below. In that moment, the fear didn't come from trees falling. It came from feeling chased by something you couldn't see. We don't see the earth move every day, so when it stirs, our instincts hit the alarm right away. Geologists quickly gave an explanation. Strong winds hit the big tree canopies. The wet soil lost its grip. Shallow roots couldn't hold the trees steady, and that caused the whole synchronized movement. This has been called a breathing forest before. It shows up here and there around the world, especially after long, heavy rain. From a physics standpoint, it all makes sense. But that unusual perfect timing still leaves a lot of people uneasy. Not just one tree, not a small patch. The whole forest moved at once. It came out of nowhere. No warning, no clear seismic signal. Science gives the technical answer, but the uneasy feeling doesn't go away. Matthew 24:7 warned, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." Here, earthquakes aren't just numbers on a scale. They're the shaking that turns our usual sense of safety upside down. Revelation 6:12 goes on. I watched as the Lamb opened the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth, and the whole moon turned blood red. The Earth's movements aren't described as random accidents, but as signs of a bigger chain of changes starting to unfold. When the forest stopped moving and the ground went quiet again, the memory of that moment didn't disappear. We can call it a natural event, slap a scientific label on it to calm down, but the question still hangs there. If just one forest could scare people this much, what happens when the whole planet really starts to shake? 4. Rivers turning blood red around the world. A bright red river flows right in the middle of the day. The water looks thick like fresh blood, reflecting the sky in a dark, suffocating shade. We've seen it on the Nile, in the Cusco area of Peru, and then heavy red rain pouring down on Iran's Hormuz Island. These pictures spread fast, one after another, like a chain of warnings. Does this feeling seem familiar to you? The same one that shows up in the old pages of the Bible, from Africa to South America and the Middle East. These scary red events keep popping up so close together it's hard to believe. Rivers change color. Rain falls and leaves red streaks on roofs, on people's skin, on the ground. Local folks panic and record videos. Believers pray in fear. And online, everyone is buzzing with the same question. Why is blood showing up in so many places at the same time? In Peru, around Cusco and Vinicunca, the soil is full of iron oxide. When heavy rain comes, it washes red mud down into the rivers. On Hormuz Island, the special red dirt gets lifted by the rain into the air and falls back like blood rain. For the Nile, sediment and red algae make the water turn a clear, striking color. Each place has its own reason, but the final picture is eerily the same. Exodus 7:20 records the first warning. Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded. He raised his staff and struck the water of the river in the sight of Pharaoh and his officials. And all the water in the river turned to blood. When a river that once gave life becomes a sign of judgment, it's more than a physical change. It's a direct message to people's hearts and consciences. Scientists quickly step in to calm everyone down. They talk about minerals, microorganisms, and natural cycles that have happened before. They have patterns, data, and solid explanations. But science only answers how it happens, not why it's repeating right now, when the world already feels so unstable. Revelation 16:3-4 takes it further. The second angel poured out his bowl on the sea, and it turned into blood, like that of a dead person, and every living thing in the sea died. The third angel poured out his bowl on the rivers and springs of water, and they became blood. Here, the blood isn't just one image. It's the start of a spreading chain of judgments. When you put these two views side by side, one from natural laws, one from Scripture, the tension is obvious. We can choose to believe in minerals and algae, or we can listen to the warning about sin and its consequences. The really frightening thing isn't the red water. It's that people might just keep ignoring it. The rivers have changed color. The rain has stained the earth red. And the message is no longer hidden. If even fresh water can turn like this, what will happen when it comes time for the seas and oceans? 5. The ground under the river suddenly rises up like a monster in Haryana, India. The calm river surface suddenly changes shape. A big mass pushes up through the water, rises for a moment, then drops back down, enough to leave anyone watching frozen in place. The shaky video spreads like wildfire online, and you can clearly hear the panic and the screams coming from the riverbank. It happened on a river in Haryana state, where the ground under the water has been under heavy pressure from sediment and the constant flow. In the footage, the riverbed bulges up noticeably, stirring up swirling mud and dirt, making it feel like some huge creature is moving underneath. The whole thing lasts just a few seconds, but it's enough to give you chills because the shape looks so unnatural. The water shakes, mud bubbles up in chunks, then everything settles back, leaving an eerie silence. Lots of people slow down the video frame by frame and say it looks like a living thing trying to break free. What do you see in those few short seconds? A natural geological event, or something beyond what we usually understand? Revelation 13:1 once gave a haunting picture. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea, with 10 horns and 7 heads. On its horns were 10 crowns, and on its heads were blasphemous names. That verse isn't describing a real creature, but it points to powers rising up from places people thought they already knew well. Right after, people online split into different opinions. Some say it's an underwater landslide, mud and dirt compressed tight, then suddenly released by pressure. Others mention built-up gas bubbles that burst and push the sediment above them hard. Technical breakdowns come out. Every frame gets picked apart. Still, plenty of folks question if the movement feels too intentional. They point out how neatly it rises and falls, more like a deliberate action than a random reaction. The video gets compared to similar clips from other rivers, sparking heated debates about where the line is between a natural event and something we can't quite name. Matthew 24:7 gives a bigger picture. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Those words suggest that movements in the earth and water aren't separate from the general chaos in the world. The Haryana event can be explained by geology, or it can be seen through the eyes of faith. What bothers a lot of people is the uneasy feeling that lingers after watching the clip. That chunk of earth moved and then vanished. But the question hangs there. If next time, whatever rises from the riverbed has a clearer shape, what will we call it? 6. Hellfire erupts from the Saudi Arabian desert. Out in the middle of the dry, endless sand, a flame suddenly shoots straight up from the ground. It burns bright in the dark night, like a crack opening straight down into the depths. The sand around it shifts and moves. The surface shakes, and the fire keeps shooting higher, making you feel like you're looking at a hidden doorway that's been sealed for ages. The sight is so powerful it takes your breath away right from the first second. The whole thing was caught on video in a remote part of the Saudi desert, a place where hardly anybody ever goes. In the clip that's going around, the fire starts from a small hole, then spreads out, making the sand nearby look like it's boiling. There's no big building or anything in sight, just dirt, sand, and fire, all mixing together in a really threatening way. The uneasy feeling grows as the flame doesn't die down. It burns steady and constant, like something's feeding it from below. When the wind blows through, the fire bends and makes a dry, hissing sound that makes the whole scene even more eerie. You start to feel like the ground isn't just dead dirt anymore, it's hiding some hot, wild energy that's hard to control. Revelation 9:2 describes something pretty similar that's worth thinking about. He opened the bottomless pit, and smoke rose from the pit like smoke from a huge furnace. The sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke from the pit. That warning makes a lot of folks connect it to this column of smoke and fire rising out of the desert, like a sign of something much deeper than what we can see. The chills don't just come from the fire itself. They come from the thought that this is happening in a place that seems so empty and safe. The desert is supposed to be a dead zone, yet now it's spitting out fire, as if the earth underneath is reacting. What we're seeing isn't just some natural event. It's a quiet threat coming up from under the familiar surface. Luke 16:23-24 brings up another layer. In hell, where he was in torment, he looked up and said, "Father, have pity on me, and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire." That Bible passage turns the image of fire in the desert from something physical into a symbol of judgment and suffering. Geologists and energy experts explain it as a natural gas leak or some underground activity under the sand. They say it's not a volcano, just burning gas. That explanation makes scientific sense, but it still doesn't completely get rid of the strange feeling when fire pops up in an unexpected spot and keeps going for so long. When you put the two views side by side, one is the technical facts, The other is this strong spiritual feeling. The whole thing becomes harder to ignore. That flame keeps burning in people's minds, like a reminder. If this is just the first little crack, what happens when more cracks start to open up? 7. Mysterious glowing orb hovers after thunderstorm in Alberta, Canada. Right after a lightning bolt ripped through the night sky near Rich Valley, Alberta, a blue glowing orb suddenly appeared, floating in midair about 20 feet off the ground. It didn't fall or shoot off. It just drifted slowly, almost like it was watching the ground below. The sight grabbed everyone's attention because it didn't look like any normal weather we'd seen before. This happened during a big storm out in rural Alberta, where there aren't many lights around, and the sky usually clears up nicely after rain. Ed and Melinda Party, a couple who live nearby, managed to catch a 23-second video. It shows the glowing orb appearing right after a loud thunderclap, then quietly moving through the air. In the video, the orb looks 3 to 6 feet across and gives off a soft but clear blue light. It hovers steady, no burn marks, no shaking the ground, then suddenly vanishes with a small, dry pop. That moment feels more like a quick message than just some random natural accident. Scientists think this could be ball lightning, a very rare electrical phenomenon that's been reported for hundreds of years, but still isn't fully explained. Some ideas point to plasma, electric arcs, or ionized air after a lightning strike, but none of those perfectly match what shows up in this video. Luke 21:25 talks about signs that make people pay attention. There will be strange signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be anxious and confused. When you put that Bible verse next to this glowing orb showing up in the sky after lightning, a lot of folks can't help but think of signs that go beyond our usual everyday observations. The mysterious feeling grows stronger because even the experts admit this kind of thing is extremely rare and hard to predict. There were no measuring instruments right there, no full background data, just the video and then silence in the sky afterward. That gap in information really stirs up people's imagination and faith. Revelation 1:14-16 describes a bright image from above. His eyes were like blazing fire, his feet like bronze glowing in a furnace, and his voice like the sound of rushing waters. The light, the thunder, and the brief appearance in the dark night create a similarity that makes many believers see it as a gentle hint, not a firm proof. Of course, some say it's just a rare physical event that got built up bigger because of the camera angle and how people felt seeing it. But plenty of others believe the sky is reminding us to look up more often, instead of always looking down and trying to explain everything with formulas. The glowing orb disappeared, leaving the sky quiet again like nothing happened. But if this is just one small mark in a series of strange things showing up, the question still hangs there. What sign will the sky send next? 8. A swarm of moths covers the town of Oyonnax, France. In just one evening, the streetlights in Oyonnax almost disappeared behind a thick layer of fluttering wings. Thousands of moths showed up all at once, covering windows, signs, and balconies so completely that many people just froze in their doorways. It's hard to believe this was happening in a quiet little town in eastern France. Oyonnax is in the Ain region, where life usually moves slow and steady. But that night, boxwood moths suddenly poured into the town center. Not just a few dozen or even a couple hundred, they came in thick waves, coating every surface with light and turning the streets into something strange and unsettling. Videos that spread around showed moths piled on top of each other on windows, swirling around street lamps like living fog. The soft but constant flapping sound felt like an invasion, throwing off everyone's normal routine. Lots of folks locked their doors tight, turned off the lights, and waited for the wave of bugs to pass. Exodus chapter 10 describes something eerily familiar. Locusts covered all the land of Egypt and filled the land so that the ground was black. They ate every plant in the land. Reading that now, with Oyonnax in mind, gives some believers chills. Joel 1:6-7 talks about insects like an organized army. A nation strong and without number has come up against my land. They have laid waste my vines and splintered my fig trees. In Oyonnax, the moths didn't destroy people, but the feeling of being surrounded was very real, like a vivid reminder. Biologists explain that the species Pseudalima perspectalis is an invasive moth in Europe. It thrives with warmer weather and no natural enemies. City lights draw them in huge numbers, creating this unusual scene that's still part of normal ecology. Even so, many wonder why the outbreak hit so suddenly and so thickly right in the town center. Not gardens or suburbs, but where people live close together. Seeing similar insect events in other countries makes it harder to call this just random chance. When you put the Bible next to science, the two views don't cancel each other out. They add deeper meaning. One explains how it happens, the other hints at a message. That overlap is what makes the Oyonnax event more than just a regular bug problem. As the night went on, the moths slowly thinned out, the lights came back, and the town returned to normal. But the picture of those thin wings blanketing the streets still lingers. If this was just a small invasion, the unanswered question is, when nature keeps pressing in, will we still be able to stand back and just watch next time? 9. The ocean is on fire off Mocha Island, Chile. Not waves, not lights reflecting off the water. Real flames rose up from the sea near Mocha Island, Chile, lighting up the dark night and leaving people who saw it frozen in shock. The ocean, the thing that usually puts out every fire, this time became the place keeping the fire alive. Can you believe the sea could actually catch fire right in front of people's eyes? Mocha Island sits off the Biobío region, a quiet place with hardly any tourists or noise, but it's right over fault lines and deep pockets of gas under the seafloor. No alarms, no distant warnings, just one moment when flames broke through the surface, spread out, and shook up a stretch of ocean that had been calm for years. Observers saw gas bubbling up from the bottom, collecting in patches on the water, then suddenly bursting into flames. The fire didn't come from the shore or from any boats. It came straight from the heart of the ocean. The sight made every explanation feel too slow, because no one is used to seeing the sea glow like a giant stove. Revelation 8:8, 9 comes to mind like a cold warning. The second angel sounded his trumpet, and something like a huge mountain, all ablaze, was thrown into the sea. A third of the sea turned into blood. A third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. Fire on the sea isn't just a picture anymore. It's happening for real. Many people say this is just methane gas leaking from cracks in the ocean floor, hitting a spark and catching fire. That sounds reasonable, but it doesn't answer the bigger question. Why are these events showing up more and more in seas that were always considered stable? Revelation 16:3 adds even more weight to the warning. The second angel poured out his bowl on the sea, and it turned into blood, like that of a dead person, and every living thing in the sea died. When deep ecosystems get disturbed, when trapped gas builds up and bursts out violently, it's no longer just an isolated incident. It's a sign that something bigger is out of balance. The flames at Mocha didn't just scare tourists. They also force scientists to take a hard look at how we've been using and hurting the ocean for decades. The sea doesn't speak, but when it finally reacts, all the warnings come way too late. If the ocean has started burning in a remote spot like Mocha, the question left hanging is this: how many other bodies of water are quietly building up the same danger, just waiting to break through to the surface? 10. A clear stream flowing through the Saudi Arabian desert, a miracle of water in a barren land. Water pours out right in the middle of the Saudi desert, crystal clear and steady, running through sand dunes once thought to be completely bone dry. It's not dripping or trickling, it's a strong, steady flow that actually leaves marks in the sand. When those pictures spread, a lot of folks were stunned because the place with the least water is suddenly full of it. Do you think this is just random, or is something bigger being shown? The spot where this stream appears sits deep in a desert that hardly ever gets rain, where the ground is cracked for miles and miles. No reservoirs, no pipes, just sand, rocks, and blazing sun. Yet from that very dry ground, water rises up and flows in a path, catching the light like a shimmering ribbon across the burning yellow. People there said the water was so clear you could see right down to the sandy bottom. The flow carried no mud, showed no sign of flash floods. It was calm, constant, like it had been there for a long time. The sight makes the line between what's normal and what's hard to explain feel pretty thin, because a desert isn't supposed to have extra water like this. Isaiah 35:6-7 comes to mind, like a key that unlocks the meaning. For waters shall break forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert. The burning sand shall become a pool, and the thirsty ground springs of water. Those words used to feel like a far-off hope, but now they seem to match exactly what's happening on that hot ground. Some say the water comes from underground pressure, built up below, or from rare rains far off in the hills dozens of miles away. That sounds reasonable, but it doesn't take away the puzzled feeling when you see water show up exactly where people never expected it. Science can explain the how, but not why this picture lines up so perfectly with words written thousands of years ago. Isaiah 41:18 adds even more weight. I will make rivers flow on the bare heights and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water and the dry land springs of water. This stream in the desert doesn't just ease physical thirst, it wakes up the memory of a promise that was never taken back. What stands out is how people reacted, not cheering or shouting, but going quiet, a quiet of realizing, of facing something beyond everyday thinking. The water flows without needing words, yet it makes anyone watching wonder about the connection between creation and the one who laid its foundation. That water doesn't smash the desert, it slips through it, like a gentle but clear reminder. Even in dryness, life can still be stirred up in ways no one controls. Now that water has started flowing where no one expected. The real question left isn't where it came from, but whether people will see this sign as hope opening up or as a final reminder we need to hear. Here are 10 events that have passed like different slices of the same picture, from the sky, the land, the oceans, all the way to dry deserts. Some places shook, some burned, some overflowed with life, and some saw water pour out in areas that seemed completely dead. When you put them side by side, the pieces no longer feel scattered. They form a steady chain of reminders about how nature works and how fragile our human limits really are. Matthew 24:6-8 once described a time filled with one trouble piling on another. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, for all these things must happen, but the end is not yet. These are the beginning of sorrows. These signs don't stand alone. They come one after another, growing stronger, like drumbeats signaling a deep change in the world. What we've seen isn't just random natural events. It's a reminder of a bigger order that people don't control. Romans 8:22 talks about the pain of all creation. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. The shaking of the earth, the water, the air, and living things reflects a spiritual reality that's been ignored for far too long. In the face of that picture, the important thing isn't fear, it's waking up. Joel 2:12 sounds like an invitation to come back. Even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning. This isn't a threat, it's a door that's still open for anyone willing to listen with their heart. If what's just been shared touches something deep inside you, take a quiet moment. Look up, speak a sincere prayer, or write your own thoughts in the comments below. Even a short line can be the start of real change on the inside, because faith always begins with honesty. If this message means something to you, please give it a like, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the messages coming in the days ahead. Sometimes the spread of a wake-up call starts with one very small step. Finally, thank you so much for staying until the very end. May the peace of God be with you and your family every day, protecting you in every situation and guiding you through the changes of these times. Amen.
And southern Argentina is battling a severe wildfire crisis as massive.
Well, we are more than 24 hours now removed from the fatal incident involving...
Strike! 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 What do we want?
No, for real, what is that?
Yo, what the frick? What the actual frick?
Do you feel that invisible pressure tightening around the present moment? When everything that used to feel steady starts cracking all at once, worry about tomorrow slips into every breath, and time seems to be shrinking until it's hard to breathe. In just a short span, 10 things hit one after another. They explode, burn, spread, tear apart, and cover both the earth and the sky. Order shakes, nature screams. Strange signs come fast and furious, like they won't even give people time to catch their breath. Right in the middle of that whirlwind, the story is still unfinished, like a door that hasn't quite closed yet, waiting for you to keep going down the path. If something uneasy and faithful stirs in your heart, leave a prayer in the comments below as a way to express your faith in these tough times. And now, we won't have to wait long. We're jumping right in with 1. Protests spread across America after Alex Pretty's death. Chaos breaks out. Fierce protests spread from Minneapolis to New York City, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. Internal conflicts are tearing American society apart. What's really happening to America when the streets are shaking all at once and everyday order just falls apart? Hot news keeps pouring in amid this tense atmosphere, where worry spreads faster than any explanation. As you can see, right now the feeling of chaos isn't far away. It's right there at the intersections, in front of hospitals, and in every shout on the streets. It all started in Minneapolis, where Alex Pretty, an ICU nurse, lost his life after an encounter with federal immigration agents. In no time, this sparked a wave of protests driven by professional unity and social concerns. Spreading like a chain reaction, candlelight vigils quickly turned into huge crowds, putting real pressure on law enforcement and local officials. In Minneapolis, tense standoffs broke out around government buildings. Traffic was blocked for hours, and major roads were jammed for miles. According to CNN, the number of people at the hotspots grew fast each day, with healthcare workers clearly visible carrying signs demanding justice. Sociologists say the cause isn't just one single incident, but years of built-up frustration over policies and job worries. That wave quickly moved beyond Minneapolis, reaching New York City, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. In NYC, nurses and medical staff joined in large numbers, turning squares and main streets into seas of people. According to CNN, business got disrupted, retail sales dropped noticeably, and the tension between everyday folks and the federal government became more obvious, deepening the cracks in society. Matthew 24:6-7 warned, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation." Those words ring like a bell right now. As internal divisions grow and stop being just local, they're becoming a nationwide wave. Some folks say this is only a short-term result of immigration policy fights, and it'll calm down soon. But political analysts warn that the scale of mobilization, how widespread it is, and the level of confrontation show something deeper breaking in society. According to CNN, the loss of trust between communities and institutions has reached a dangerous point. Luke 21:9-10 says clearly, "When you hear of rebellions, do not be frightened. Nation will rise against nation." In light of that warning, what's happening isn't just scattered events anymore. It's a sign of growing inner chaos coming out. The reality is, this division isn't standing still. It's spreading, growing, and bringing unpredictable consequences for the future. When a country once seen as a symbol of stability starts tearing itself apart from the inside, the big question left hanging is, will this wave stop at the borders? Or will it pull all of humanity into an even bigger storm ahead? 2. A big fire completely wiped out the entire Kasongan market area in Indonesia, Kasongan Market, in Katingan Regency, Central Kalimantan, Indonesia, has been totally burned down. Flames swept through Kasongan Market like a red wave, licking up everything in their path and leaving a choking, burnt smell behind. In that moment, all you could see was tin roofs crashing down, market stalls in ruins, and sparks flying into the dark night. The sense of total destruction didn't need words. It shouted through the blinding light and sharp crackling sounds. Kasongan Market used to be the busy trading hub of Katingan Regency, packed with hundreds of kiosks and homes right next door. The fire started in the main area and spread super fast along the wooden stalls and flammable materials. Reports say in just a short time, whole blocks were completely destroyed. Thick black smoke rolled up covering the sky, and people had to run in panic. The cold numbers show how bad the damage was. Reports say hundreds of kiosks were wrecked. Dozens of nearby homes can't be used anymore, and thousands of people lost their way to make a living overnight. Thick dust and ash filled the air over a wide area, seriously affecting people's health and the surroundings. Revelation 8-7 says, "Hail and fire mixed with blood fell to the earth. A third of the land was burned up." When you read that again, it's hard not to see the image of the flames swallowing Kasongan Market and connect it to warnings about widespread destruction. The Bible doesn't go into technical details, but it sets the scene so people can realize how fragile the world we depend on really is. The fire wasn't just about losing things. Local livelihoods got wiped out, supply chains broke, and worry hangs heavy as folks don't know where to start again. Similar market fires have happened in many Asian countries, but they seem to come more often and cause bigger damage lately, making it feel like fire is no longer a rare accident. Matthew 24-7 mentions, "There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." In this light, those words hint at a chain of effects, where physical destruction leads to livelihood crises and social unrest. The Bible acts like a mirror, helping us see the bigger picture behind this one fire. Still, some folks have a different view and say the cause could be an electrical short or long dry weather, things we see in many fires. But the speed it spread and the huge scale made experts warn about the dangerous mix of flammable buildings and tougher weather conditions. Reports say this isn't just a local problem anymore. The flames at Kasongan have died down, but the scars are still smoldering in people's lives and in the questions that don't have answers yet. If a whole market can disappear in just a few hours, are other fires waiting to spread more, like signs of bigger destruction coming next? 3. Wildfire in Cholila, Argentina. Forests covered in smoke and flames. Living forests burned fiercely. More than 74,000 acres of forest gone in a sea of fire. That raw number hits you like a punch you didn't see coming. It's not just a few small fires here and there, but a huge ecosystem in Cholila, Patagonia, being wiped out hour by hour. As the burned area keeps growing, we're forced to face the question, how much more can nature take? The fire started strong with dry weather and high winds, quickly getting out of control. Ancient forests have burned brightly for days and nights with no sign of stopping, and the flames are now getting close to nearby towns. Many highways had to shut down, leaving Cholila cut off in thick smoke and ash. Early numbers say thousands of wild animals couldn't get away and died in the fire or from the smoke. The good forest soil was burned so badly it might never come back. Toxic smoke has spread dozens of miles, hurting air quality all over the area. Some online news says local officials declared an emergency and keep warning people to evacuate. Revelation 8-7 once described, Hail and fire mixed with blood were hurled down on the earth, and a third of the earth was burned up. When you look at those words next to the bright red burning forests of Cholula, the Bible verse doesn't feel like some far-off symbol anymore. It starts to explain this chain of disasters that keep coming back bigger each time. Climate experts warn that strong winds in Patagonia could make the fire turn suddenly, spreading faster than anyone thought. Local authorities admit the risk of it spreading is still very high, especially with firefighting stretched thin and the tough mountain terrain. All these things make stopping the fire really hard. Joel 1:19-20 says, "The fire has devoured the open pastures, and the flame has consumed all the trees of the field. Even the streams of water have dried up." This Bible passage is like a guide, showing why when the forests burn, everything living around them starts to die off too. Some say climate change and strong winds are the direct causes, but what's really worrying is how these big wildfires keep happening over and over around the world. From North America to South America, from Australia to Europe, forests, the source of life, are being burned again and again, leaving behind land that's hard to bring back to life. The fire in Cholula still isn't fully out, and the cracking sounds from the burning forest are like a cry for help coming up from the ground. If nature is speaking this loudly and clearly, are we really listening? Or will we only wake up when the next fire has already started? 4. A faint, mysterious purple streak, like a tear in the night sky. As night fell, the quiet sky suddenly showed a soft purple glow. It wasn't bright like the northern lights, and it didn't flash like lightning. It just stretched out quietly, thin and deep, looking like a fresh crack had opened up in the middle of the sky. No bang, no warning, just a chilly feeling down your spine as that light hung there, challenging everything we think we know about the night sky. People spotted this in different places. It appeared, then faded away in just a few minutes, leaving everyone amazed and a bit unsettled. The hazy purple streak stretched for hundreds of miles, sometimes curving, sometimes looking like it was torn straight down, making folks think of an invisible curtain being ripped open. A lot of people compared it to Steve, that purple light tied to magnetic storms and plasma flows high up in the atmosphere. But the feeling you got looking at it went way beyond what science usually explains. Standing under a sky like that, have you ever wondered if something's being revealed, not just some cold physical reaction? That question comes up pretty naturally. The main feeling isn't pure fear. It's more confusion mixed with curiosity, like we've just seen a sign but don't quite get what it means yet. Revelation 6:14 once described it this way: "The sky receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved from its place." That picture isn't about specific lights or colors. It's about the sky's whole structure changing, about the familiar order getting folded away. When a long purple tear shows up in the dark, a lot of people can't help connecting it to that scene, more as a gentle hint than a final answer. Matthew 24-29 puts it plainly too. "The sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken." Folks often bring up that verse when the sky stops acting the way it's supposed to. This hazy purple light doesn't come from the sun or moon, isn't a meteor shower. So quite a few people feel like those powers in the heavens are shifting in ways that are hard to pin down. Of course, online folks quickly split into different camps. Some say it's just Steve or a rare, strong aurora caused by unusual magnetic activity. Others point out that science can describe how it works but hasn't really touched why these things are showing up more often and hitting people so emotionally. Both views exist side by side, bumping into each other but not canceling each other out. The thing that stands out is this: no matter which side you're on, hardly anyone can just shrug it off. That streak didn't just show up in the sky. It quietly stirred up a question inside the people watching. When the sky starts looking strange and different, is it only nature putting on a show? Or could it be a quiet signal that the familiar things are about to step aside for something much bigger that's getting ready to appear. 5. Those strange clouds curl round like big ocean waves. The sky isn't raining, and there's no storm coming, but the clouds are rolling up into neat, curved strips, looking just like giant waves standing straight up in the air. They don't drift quietly like regular clouds. They stack and layer over each other, making the whole sky feel like it's moving. Seeing something like that, have you ever wondered if it's just a random shape, or maybe some ancient memory being brought back? From far away, these clouds look like huge waves frozen high in the sky, with sharp, carved-looking curves. Some folks think of old engravings in ancient drawings, where water and sky blend together, and the line between up above and down below seems to disappear. That feeling makes a lot of people think of the Great Flood, not with real water this time, but with a haunting visual reminder. In Genesis 6:11-1-3, the Bible says, "The earth was filled with violence before God. I will destroy them with the earth." This part doesn't talk about waves or clouds, but it describes widespread corruption and a moment of warning before everything happened. When the sky shows shapes that remind people of flood waves, many feel it's more like a gentle hint than a harsh judgment, a reminder of what happened when folks ignored the warnings. Weather experts explain this as Kelvin-Helmholtz clouds. They form when two layers of air slide past each other at different speeds, creating those rolling waves, just like breakers on the shore. It's a rare sight, only happening under very specific conditions, and people have been noticing them more lately, which gets folks paying attention. From a science view, it's just wind shear and temperature differences at work. A beautiful picture, but purely physical. Still, the uncanny resemblance between these clouds and ocean waves keeps sparking thoughts. In Genesis 9:11, after the flood, the promise comes again. "I establish my covenant with you, that never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood." That promise is about water, but it doesn't rule out other kinds of wake-up calls. For many, wave clouds aren't signaling a new flood. They're a nudge that history can repeat when people let their guard down. So the debate spreads online. Some see it as just a rare, pretty atmospheric show, while others feel there's deeper meaning behind it. Two ways of looking, side by side. One based on facts and data, the other on instinct and religious memory. What's interesting is both sides admit it feels unusual standing under that sky, as if nature is trying to say something without words. Those rounded clouds eventually fade away, leaving the sky looking normal again, but the question still hangs there. If this really is a soft reminder, not by floodwaters but by pictures in the sky, are people today awake enough to take notice and get ready? Or will we just look up, snap a photo, and keep walking like we didn't see a thing? 6. The floodwater had a blood-red color in Portugal. The rushing flood poured down a familiar road, but its color stopped everyone in their tracks. A deep, thick red, like fresh blood spilling from a huge wound. It wasn't the usual muddy brown from dirt, or the orange you often see after heavy rain. No, this was a fierce, intense red that covered the whole street and swept away any sense of safety. The fast-moving water rushed through the streets, catching the streetlights and turning them into shaky, haunting red streaks. People stood along the sides, not just scared, but confused too. The sight was terrifying and strangely beautiful in a creepy way that's hard to explain. For a moment, it felt like we were watching an end-of-the-world painting come to life right in front of us, where the line between nature and a symbol just blurred away. Early reports say the red flood came after heavy rain. It might have picked up red soil sediment from upstream, or maybe it was a red algae bloom. Either way, the uneasy feelings spread fast. History has records of blood, rain, or water turning strange colors in medieval Europe, and those events always brought widespread fear and whispers of coming disaster. In Portugal, it seems like those old memories got stirred up again. In Joel 2:33-1, the Bible says, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. The sun will turn dark, and the moon will turn to blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes." Here, blood isn't just a liquid, it's an accusing image, a sign that forces people to stop and face the truth about themselves. As the red water flowed over car wheels and front steps, it felt like a silent indictment, asking what might be hidden under the normal surface of the world. Revelation 6:12 also talks about the moment when the moon became like blood, tied to the shaking of the old order. Those words hit hard when you see red covering the ground like that. Scientists say this is a natural thing, explained by geology or biology. But even that explanation doesn't wipe away the unsettled feeling. Because sometimes the real meaning isn't in the physical cause, it's in how it touches our deepest fears. That red flood didn't attack with its force, it hit with its image. When the water finally went down, the road came back into view, but the mark it left in people's minds stayed. If blood has been used as a warning sign in history and the Bible, what is this picture calling out in our time? And if this is just the start, will the next signs paint the sky and earth with even scarier colors? 7. Roman gold treasure found under an ancient temple. A Roman treasure buried for centuries suddenly comes to light, golden warrior statue and shining gold bars under the old temple. Deep under the cold stone floor of an ancient Roman temple, a hidden space was unexpectedly opened, revealing a golden glow that hadn't been seen in hundreds of years. A sense of wonder spreads as the old walls seem to whisper about a long-buried past, and you can almost picture that historic moment when light first touched the gold after centuries of quiet sleep. Inside the sealed chamber, explorers found a finely crafted golden warrior statue, surrounded by stacks of gold bars, clear signs of a deliberate hiding ritual. The quiet temple space suddenly felt like a meeting point between the sacred and worldly power, where riches were placed at the feet of the gods as a plea for protection. The sight fills you with amazement at the scale and wealth of that ancient empire. Similar finds have turned up in Italy, Turkey, and Israel, where Roman hoards were discovered near temples or religious sites, showing the custom of hiding gold during troubled times. The money value of this treasure is huge, but its historical value is even greater, since it shows the old fears of loss and the deep desire to endure through changing times. In Matthew 6:19-1, the Bible warns, "Do not store up treasures on earth, where moths and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up treasures in heaven, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Those words ring out like an explanation, shining a light right on this newly revealed gold. Treasure was once seen as proof of power and safety, but time has shown how fragile it really is. The gold is still there, but the people who hid it are long gone, leaving us to wonder about the true meaning of wealth. In our own unsteady modern world, this ancient find makes many people pause and think, rather than just get excited. Archaeology experts say this was likely a chance discovery, the result of surveys and good luck. They stress the scientific view. The gold was hidden because of war, conflict, or religious reasons, which fits perfectly with Roman history. But from another angle, some people see a symbolic message in it coming to light, that what people cling to will eventually be revealed. Between these two views, the truth lies quietly, just like that secret chamber under the temple. The shining treasure doesn't just tell a story from the past, it also mirrors our present, where people keep searching for lasting value among things that don't last. As buried secrets slowly rise into the light, is it just the luck of archaeology, or a sign that a time of judgment and clarity is drawing very near? 8. Strange glowing orbs hovering over the sea. Right at sunset, the ocean suddenly got torn open by floating lights. They appeared in a perfectly straight line, then changed formation right along the horizon. No sound at all, no warning, just bright lights standing out against the orange-pink sky, making all the usual explanations feel pretty shaky. That deep silence only made the unease and mystery feel heavier. From the deck of a ferry crossing open water, several crew members watched dozens of glowing balls flying in perfect sync. spreading apart, then closing back up like something was controlling them. Their light reflected off the waves, creating a tense, eerie scene. You could really feel that moment when people face something way beyond everyday experience. Nobody spoke up. Every eye just followed the sky, almost afraid to break that fragile order. Videos spread quickly online. They show the objects holding a steady height, moving across the sea for several minutes before fading as full darkness came. Some clips capture them changing formation in a steady rhythm, nothing like regular flares or navigation lights. The common feeling was curiosity mixed with worry, because this happened in a place the sailors know well, yet it carried the look of something you can't quite name. In Luke 21:25, the Bible says, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea." Those words come to mind when strange lights show up right over the ocean, like nature is sending a signal beyond human language. Some folks also connect it to descriptions in Revelation about signs in the sky, where lights and unusual events mark a major time of change. These passages aren't meant to replace a scientific explanation, but they put the sighting in a bigger picture, one that reminds us how limited our understanding is compared to the universe. On the forums, opinions split hard. One side says it's probably military activity, test drones, or a rare optical effect over water. They point to past examples and modern tech. The other side stresses how synchronized and long-lasting it was, saying the usual explanations just don't hold up. Both groups share evidence and argue their points, but nobody's reached agreement yet. Amid all these different views, the phenomenon still hangs there like a question mark over the water. Whether you look through the lens of science or faith, the sudden appearance of those glowing balls across the ocean isn't just a visual moment, it's a reminder of things still hidden from us. If the sky and sea are sending a signal, what comes next in that chain of signs? 9. The storm with a sharp white cloud wall like ice. Sharp white cloud wall hanging down like ice. Lightning flashing on a mysterious gray-orange sky. The strange storm covering everything. The sky suddenly drops, with a solid white wall of clouds, edges sharp like huge pieces of ice hanging there, pressing the air until it's hard to breathe. That orange-gray light covers the whole horizon, making the whole scene feel fierce and scary. You can really feel the moment when nature switches to something that won't hold back. The thick clouds roll and hang low, ready to crush anything below. The sharp edges and pouches sticking out remind you of those mammatus clouds you see in the worst supercell storms. Lightning rips through the sky, striking close to the ground. The white-blue flash bounces off the clouds and gives this heavy, pressing feeling, like the sky's unloading anger it's held in for a long time. The storm moves slow but very threatening. Every minute that passes makes the air feel thicker. The wind keeps shifting directions, and the ground shakes a little with those deep, rumbling thunderclaps. Its awesome beauty doesn't comfort you. It brings out that raw fear when people feel tiny in front of a power way beyond control. Every move shows this isn't just a regular thunderstorm. In Matthew 24:7, the Bible warns, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." Those words sound like an early heads up, putting this storm in the middle of bigger changes the world is seeing. Revelation 8:5 goes on to say, "The angel threw his censer to the earth, and there came peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake." That picture of thunder, lightning, and shaking from so long ago matches this scene in a strange way. Like the storm isn't just weather, it's carrying a deeper warning. A lot of people explain this as the typical setup of a supercell, where big differences in temperature and moisture build those wild cloud walls. Still, when storms like this show up more often, get stronger, and look more extreme, that uneasy feeling spreads. Science can explain how it works, but it doesn't take away the worry. The storm keeps coming, the cloud wall keeps dropping lower, and the sky shows no sign of calming down. If this is a warning sent through thunder and clouds, then when the storm finally hits its peak, What happens next for a world already under so much pressure? 10. Strange circle over Texas, like a gate between two worlds opening up. That day, the Texas sky was covered completely with a smooth white layer, so calm and flat it seemed like there was nothing to say about it. Then, right in the middle of that thick cloud bank, a thin circle appeared, pale gray like mist, with sharp, cold edges and completely separate. The first feeling wasn't fear. It was more like hesitation, as if your eyes were seeing something outside the usual frame. Have you ever looked up and wondered, if there's an invisible boundary, could it just open right in front of you without any warning? That circle didn't look like the messy tear of a storm. It was perfectly round, balanced, and quiet. Around it, the white clouds rolled thick, but inside was just this pale gray emptiness, like the space had been sucked dry. Anyone standing underneath could only go silent, because the sight felt like a door, not loud, no thunder or lightning, but enough to make your mind slip off its normal track and drop into deep thought. Science calls this a fall streak hole. It happens when supercooled water droplets in the clouds suddenly freeze, often triggered by a plane flying through. The ice crystals fall and leave a thin streak, creating a clear, empty ring in the cloud layer. That explanation sounds complete, but when you're standing there looking at something so perfectly shaped in the sky, it's hard not to ask yourself, why right now, and why this exact image? Revelation 6:14 says, "The sky receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved from its place." Those old words suddenly came back to mind, not as an explanation, but like a mirror reflecting back. The picture of a sky folding, shrinking, and changing shape steps out from the sacred page into our modern world. So that gray circle is no longer just one lone event. Many people say it's purely a weather thing, nothing more. That argument makes sense, and no one denies the physics behind it. But faith has never rejected science. Faith just asks one extra question. When everything can be explained, does the meaning disappear because of that? Or is it right inside those normal things that the reminder is hidden even more carefully? Matthew 24-30 says, "Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. All the peoples of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory." This Bible verse doesn't describe a specific shape, but it stresses one thing. The sky will become the place where the final truth is shown, with no room left for indifference or putting things off. That fragile opening in the Texas clouds, whatever scientific name you give it, still stands there, like a quiet invitation. It doesn't force you, doesn't shout. It just offers a choice inside your heart. When the door between the seen and the unseen seems to crack open a little, will you keep walking like you never saw anything? Or will you stop and ask yourself how ready you really are? 10 signs have shown up one by one, not all at once with a lot of noise, but steadily, like a quiet, steady knocking on the door of our conscience. From strange changes in the sky, the ground shaking, to society starting to fall apart, they all come together into one clear picture. Every piece points in the same direction. When you put them side by side, those events are no longer just random things happening. They feel like a quiet confirmation that the old warnings were never wrong. Ecclesiastes 1-9 says, "What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun." This Bible verse rings like a repeating cycle in history, reminding us that what's happening now isn't outside the plan that was told long ago. The only difference this time is things are coming faster, the quiet moments are shorter, and the chance to turn things around is more precious than ever. In the middle of all this, the call isn't about fear, it's about waking up. Repenting isn't running away, it's facing things honestly. Praying isn't just a ritual, it's a real, living connection. Living a holy life isn't about pulling away from the world, it's about keeping your heart from getting swept away. Every small choice we make today is quietly shaping where our soul will stand tomorrow. 1 Peter 1:16 says, "Be holy, because I am holy." That short Bible verse sets a clear standard in a time when the lines between right and wrong get blurry. As the world gets more comfortable with compromise, the call to be holy becomes a steady sign that separates us. Not loud, but firm. Not showy, but lasting. The signs we've talked about aren't meant to end the story. They open a fork in the road. The path ahead isn't neutral anymore, because staying silent is also a choice. When enough warning signs have appeared, the question isn't, what's going on anymore? It's where will you be found when the deciding moment comes near? Matthew 24-44 reminds us, "So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." That readiness isn't about having more information. It's about the condition of your heart. Every day that passes is another chance to adjust, to turn back, to choose your stand again. If these words touch something in your thinking, feel free to leave a short prayer or your own thoughts in the comments, like a personal marker on this bumpy journey. Sharing, following, and walking along with this channel doesn't just spread the message. It also helps keep the flame of being awake from dying out in all the noisy news. Thank you for taking the time to listen all the way to the end. May peace cover you and your family in the days ahead. May light guide the way as darkness grows, and may every choice be lit by the truth. Amen.
To our NISM leadership, our agency leadership, and every single city worker.
What's going on when so many strange things start happening all at once? Heavy snow blankets, big cities, roads get jammed, everyday life turns upside down. Up in the sky, birds fly around in crazy directions that don't make sense. In many places, sudden tornadoes appear out of nowhere, then vanish quickly, spreading worry through whole communities. These aren't just random events anymore. 10 signs come one after another, hitting hard and fast. From the ground to the sky, from nature to people's daily lives. Each one feels stronger, clearer, and harder to ignore than the last. Do you think this is simply just a coincidence? If your answer is no, then this video has come to you on purpose, like a message sent from the Lord, because right now you're about to see the missing pieces come together. Before we start this journey, please leave a prayer in the comments below. It's a way to tell God, "Lord, I'm still listening to your signs." And now, you won't have to wait long. We're jumping right in with 1. Blizzard swallows New York City. A video spreading fast last night showed New York City almost disappearing under a thick blanket of snow. Familiar avenues got buried in just a few hours. Streetlights faded out. The subway shut down. Cars sat frozen in the middle of the streets. It left a lot of folks feeling uneasy and worried, including many of us, when we realized our normal daily rhythm had come to a sudden stop. New York City is one of America's biggest financial and transportation hubs. Millions of people count on electricity, subways, and flights every single day. When the storm hit, everything came to a halt all at once. It left this huge city wrapped in quiet, bitter cold, and tense waiting. According to Fox News, wind gusts reached up to 60 miles per hour. Heavy snow piled up several feet in a short time, knocking out power to more than 770,000 homes for a long stretch. Over 14,000 flights got canceled at big airports like LaGuardia and JFK. Thousands of vehicles were stuck solid under the snow. Road and air travel pretty much ground to a complete stop. Some reports say serious accidents happened because of poor visibility and icy roads, with confirmed deaths tied directly to the extreme weather. Those cold numbers show the damage wasn't just to buildings and things, it reached human lives too, spreading worry through the whole community. Weather experts call this Winter Storm Fern. It formed from a strong clash between Arctic cold air and moist air from the Atlantic. They say climate change is making winter storms stronger, with heavier snow and fiercer winds, overwhelming city systems that were built for milder conditions. But when you look at the city covered in darkness and ice, a lot of people can't help thinking of the warning in Luke 21:11. There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilence.